We heartily welcome everyone to the HealthTech Club's first podcast in the podcast series, where we aim to delve deeper into the topics ranging from health and technology. A little introduction about our club. The HealthTech Club was founded with an aim to foster development and improvement of current healthcare trends by incorporating technology at the college level and to enable students to consciously contribute to the same by showing active participation in events and competitions conducted in alignment with the club's vision, aiming to contribute and generate awareness about how technology can improve the healthcare sector. So, our first guest in this podcast series is Ms. Smiti Tripathy, with whom we will dive into the topic and explore the immense opportunities that the healthcare sector holds, alongside getting to know about her journey and struggles to reach where she is today. Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to our listeners. Ms. Tripathi is an alumnus of VIT, where she pursued her medical engineering. Currently, she is pursuing her master's in medical imaging at FAU Erlangen-Nuremberg University, Germany. I hope I pronounced that right. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah, it
great
was right.
it's a great pleasure to have you on a session, but I would like to know your thoughts. How do you feel about being a guest on this podcast?
Yeah, so first of all, hello. And yeah, I'm really excited, and it just reminds me of my days in VIT when we used to have these clubs and chapters, and we used to conduct such type of events. So yeah, and also it's my first ever podcast, so I'm pretty excited and looking forward.
Good to hear that. So, how and when did you develop an interest in medical engineering, and what exactly motivated you to pursue your master's in medical imaging and data processing?
Okay, so if I have to talk about my bachelor's, so as any other Indian student, so you have, after you finish your 12th, you have two ways. Either you write IIT JEE or you write NEET. So I also wanted to go in the medical field. I wrote NEET, but my scores were not that great. But then at the same time, I was also interested in, I liked maths and also biology. So I was looking forward if there's a combination of both or not. And then I came across this medical engineering. So but I just, and then I got interested, like I wanted to know what exactly it is. Then I just did bit of researching. Okay, there's a possibility like you can have medical in engineering field also. So I did more of the research and stuff, and then I searched universities that are offering this, and then yeah, VIT was one of that, and I wrote the entrance exam, and that's how I did my bachelor's in medical engineering. And now masters, so my bachelor's was focused on overall biomedical engineering, which had a lot of divisions and branches. But now here, masters, I'm doing specialization. So it's specifically medical imaging and data processing. So that I got interested when I had certain courses related to medical imaging systems and image processing. So I found it really interesting. And yeah, so I thought it's a good thing. Like there are universities which are offering specific specialization on this, and so that's how I decided to go more into that particular field.
I think that's very relatable what you said about the competitive exams, and I think your journey is actually very good. So, like you said, health, you took it because the scores were less in the competitive exam. So, basically, healthcare technology or medical engineering, according to me, is an uncommon choice when it comes to students choosing their career in the field. So, I would like you to shed some light on the scope of this sector so that more and more people apply for it.
Yeah, exactly. You are right that when I had started my bachelor's, so I was asked by a lot of people, like, what exactly it is. Are you studying
Yeah,
medicine or
exactly.
are you studying engineering? So what exactly it is? So I had like till now I have hard time explaining people what exactly my course is. So yeah, like there's not a lot of awareness, and also recent years, like lot of people are getting aware, okay, such type of field exists and such type of engineers are there and such type of engineers are required, and lot of students are going into this field. So yeah, talking about the scope, there is a huge scope in this. So biomedical engineering, it is like divided into lot of divisions. So if I have to say, one is biomechanics, where you have all these prosthetics, artificial limbs, and bionic arms and stuff. And then you have this division of medical imaging, where the images that you get from your CT, MRI scanners, so you process them and how you're going to reconstruct the images that you obtain. And then there's this field of biomaterials, and then there is field of bioelectronics, where you develop different kind of sensors to measure to monitor the patients or measure the vitals. So like this biomedical engineering, it's a huge topic, and you have lot of divisions, and each of these divisions have lot of scope. So yeah, I thought when I was in India, like I did not know a lot of companies. I knew few top companies, but then I did not know a lot of companies work on this. So I got to know recently on this. Last year I had attended in Germany, in Dusseldorf, Medica trade fair, where from all these domains, what I told now, so the companies from all these domains from all over the world had come, and to my surprise, like there were like lots of companies from each and every country from these domains. So there was this medical robotics, and then this recently like augmented reality, virtual reality, where they're setting up virtually a surgical setup for making easier for the doctors to treat on a patient. So there were a lot of things like which I did not know, and lot of things is happening around. So like there were, if I remember, there were like 600 to 700 companies from medical sectors of different domains had come. So it was really good to know like a lot of work is going on. And I hope like if you guys get such type of opportunities in India, such type of medical trade fair, I think it happens in Delhi and Mumbai. So if you get such type of opportunities, I would definitely recommend you to attend these. And to find about these, you can just Google medical trade fairs or whatever. So it's a must to go there to know what kind of companies are there and what kind of work is going on, because these things we are not taught in our college. Like college just gives us the overall picture of, you just study the theory and you just do the practical, but to understand the real life problems and the problem statements that the companies are dealing with, so these kind of trade fairs are very important. So the aim of the trade fair is basically to have investors, but also you can just go there, talk to the companies on what they are working, and if they have opportunities in future, take you as an intern or just take you as a full-time student. So yeah, so there's a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that's pretty insightful, and I personally got to know so much. There's like a broad spectrum of medical engineering, and I agree that hands-on practice is so important, and we don't get that enough in college. So we'll keep an eye out on the opportunities and everything that you mentioned. So after graduating, how did your career path got shaped, and how did you work towards achieving your goals?
Yeah, so basically, when I started my bachelor, so for the first 2 years, I thought like maybe like after I finish my 4 year bachelor's, I will just go do a job. But then I saw that the placements that come to our universities mostly related to the field of IT sector or computer science sector, but nothing related to healthcare. So I thought, okay, then I looked up what is the opportunities outside. So then I decided it's better to do masters. You know, I would also recommend anyone in this particular medical engineering field or healthcare technology field to do masters, because um, because when you study medical engineering in your bachelor's, it's a overall domain, like you study all the domains together, but in masters you will be able to choose a specific domain of your interest, and then you will be able to get knowledge more into that, work more into that. And that also gives, like, having a master's degree gives you a more of a plus point to entry into a companies and get into higher positions. So yeah, so in my second year end, I decided, like, I started looking up for masters in various countries and what are the opportunities, um, and about the universities that are offering medical engineering and specialization in the medical domains. And so, yeah, because when you plan to do masters, you have to be well prepared, because you cannot immediately take a decision to do masters, because when you apply to universities, it is very important that you need to have a set of documents ready with you. For example, like, what is your statement of purpose, what is your motivation to study in this particular university. You have to get letter of recommendation from your professors or the companies that you have worked. So there's a lot of process that you have to do before you apply to universities abroad. So yeah, I started looking for the universities, and then after that I specifically did more of research, like what kind of curriculum they have. This is very important. So anyone who is planning to do masters abroad, the ranking of the university doesn't matter, but the curriculum and the course plan that the university has, that matters a lot. So because even though the university is of top tier, but the curriculum is not that great, then you will not enjoy it. So you will regret, okay, why did I choose this and why did I not go for this particular university? So it is very important that first you look up the curriculum, how it is offered, and what kind of subjects they're offering, what kind of electives they are giving you, what kind of flexibility they have. So accordingly take a decision if anyone who wants to pursue masters. So yeah, so I did all of these, and then finally in my seventh semester I started applying to universities. And then yeah, and so that's how I'm now doing masters
Yeah.
here in FAU.
Yeah, like a lot of these points we miss when we think of applying to universities. So, like, what is the application process like? Like, what skills do they look for in the candidate? Exact
Okay.
skills, if there are.
Yeah, so basically, when you decide to do masters, so first of all, like, people go for either, like, they depend on the consultancy services. So I will tell not to go for that. It is better that you do your own research. So it's very simple. Google is very powerful. So just type in the university name, go to their website, and you will see they would have mentioned the requirements. So in the requirements, they will give you a set of documents that is required. First of all, you have to prepare your curriculum vitae, that is your CV or resume. And then so in the CV, they basically expect you to write the projects that you have done, not all the projects that you have done in your bachelor's, but specifically your last semester, your capstone project, your bachelor thesis project, and some one or two major projects and internships that you have done, and what are the other skills that you have, and some extracurricular activity or your hobbies, all these things. So when you make your CV, either it's for company or either it's for applying masters abroad, just make sure that you make your CV, you restrict your CV to either one page or two pages. So that is one thing. And then the other thing is statement of purpose, where you have to write a page about what is your motivation, why you want to do masters in this particular field, and why specifically to this university, and what is your future goal and short term and long term goals. And then letter of recommendation from professors, which basically means that why professor is telling about you, professor is telling good things about you. so that you get admitted to that particular university. And then you have your transcripts, basically your scores, your grade sheets, and if you want to apply masters abroad, it's better to have a good CGPA. I mean, a CGPA about 8 or 8.5 is always good. And then apart from that, uh, there might be GRE, as you must be knowing about it. So
Yeah.
that is, yeah, GRE is not compulsory for all the universities, but then you will have to check which universities are asking for it. So accordingly, you can decide to write GRE. And then English language is mandatory, even though our curriculum in VIT was English and our entire study schooling was in English. Even though we have to prove that we know good English. So for that, you have TOEFL and IELTS. So you have to write that exam well in advance and get a good score in that. So yeah, so these are some of the documents and some of these points which you should keep in mind, which you should have well in advance when you apply for the universities.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was very beneficial. So since you graduated in 2021, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So do you
2025.
feel that there has been any significant change in the healthcare sector since then?
So like when I graduated, so it was a COVID time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, and so there was this boost in this medical field. So a lot of companies and a lot of new companies and startups were also coming up with new devices to monitor the patients, to develop patient monitoring systems, and to quickly detect COVID, some COVID tests and all these things. So there was a huge, just a jump in healthcare sector. So like all of a sudden there was a lot of demand. So I think healthcare is something which will, the demand for healthcare products, healthcare technologies will never go down, because it is something that uh, will keep growing. Because in healthcare sector, you keep getting new problems, you keep getting new problem statements, and so for all those problems, you need somebody, you need people to work on it and to find solutions to those problems. So yeah.
Yeah. So like what was the biggest challenge that you faced while pursuing your education abroad? And what's the most important lesson you've learned over?
Okay, so yeah, so if I have to talk about the differences in education system in India and the education system over here. So over here, your professors expect you to know things such as like fundamentals and basics well in advance. So they will not teach you everything from scratch. You are expected to know all these things before. So yeah, because often in India we just we just start studying a day before, which will not work over here. It will work there, but it will not work here
Yeah.
overnight. You cannot study. You will just end up getting very low scores over here, so that will not work. And also the main thing is that we miss out the fundamentals. We really do not work towards understanding the basics of these stuff. So it, I mean, like we always miss that. We always think, okay, the difficult ones are important, so we just study that, and we just forget the fundamentals or the basics behind it. So it's very important that for anyone who is doing bachelor's, that even if you do not know complicated stuffs and all these things, just make sure that you have a very strong fundamentals and basics. So if you have a very strong fundamentals and basics, it will not only help in your masters, but also it'll help in companies also. In companies, when they take your interview, they also ask you basics only. They ask you, they don't expect you to know a lot of things. They expect you to know just the fundamentals. So it is important that you understand the fundamentals. So it's the same as over here. The professor will not teach you the fundamentals or anything from scratch, that you are expected to do on your own. And one of the most challenging thing was examination system. In India, we have a long examination window that is like 3 hours for one exam. But over here, and also we have like lot of assessments in between, internal assessments. I don't know if in VIT it's still called as CAT.
Yeah,
Um,
it is actually.
so we have like cat 1, cat 2, and then the final exam and the final examination.
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
same but the same is not over here. So you start your semester and you just write your final exam. So then there we used to have like final exam used to be 3 hours. Here the final exam is just 1.5 hours or 1 hour, where there is like 30 30 to 40 questions. So these many questions you are expected to solve or write or understand and do it in 1.5 hours. So this is one very challenging thing. And also in India, we are like used to writing stories if we do not know anything and we do not go
Yes,
to the point. So here they
that's very
expect you
true.
to write. Yeah, so here you are expected to just to be on point. So you cannot write stories, and also you do not have time to write stories because the examination is just of 1 hour, so you have to be very quick. So you have to prepare for examination well in advance. One day before will not work. So that was something which was challenging. Examination was a bit challenging, and to finish off all the questions in 1 hour was still was like it's still challenging for me even after 3 semesters. So yeah.
I think we'll also be on the same page when if we go abroad for masters.
Yeah.
So, are there any resources for students that can help them to know more about the health sector and technologies?
um I think health sector and technologies, it's a vast topic. So uh, your best thing would be, internet. I mean, Google. So, enter the right keywords. And I will always tell anyone to read research papers. Research papers are very important because uh, in that way you get to know whichever domain of healthcare, like if it is medical informatics, then just go to the search engine Google Scholar and enter some medical informatics, some keywords, and then search for some recent research papers. Especially when you read research paper, just go for IEEE Springer, Science Direct. So these, not the other ones, these are the top ones which you should be focusing. And if you have to go for the journals, Nature is one good journal. So read research papers. I mean, it can be boring to read a 10-page research paper where you don't understand a lot of things, but yeah, you can just read the abstract and the conclusion. So that just gives you overall picture. Okay, what kind of developments, or what kind of study, or what kind of research is going on. And then uh, if you want to look for if you're not willing to go for this research thing, and also if you want to see what kind of products or what kind of work the companies are doing, you can just type any of the companies. For example, like I'm a working student in Siemens Healthineers, so you can just go to the website of Siemens Healthineers and you can check their products. So they have like really cool videos also which explains what kind of technology that they are developing. And yeah, so I think there is no specific book or anything, no resource, but yeah, so these kind of things. And also one more thing, there is this I hope you guys would have heard about Medium and
Yeah, yeah.
Word Science. Yeah, you can read the articles over there. So a lot of researchers and a lot of professors and a lot of students also, and a lot of company professionals write really interesting articles on various developments or various technologies, or they explain sometimes they explain you the basics also. So if you have any problem in your course and if you do not understand these two websites, they have really good articles on all of these, so you can just go and understand. For example, if it is informatics, so somebody would have written an article on it and explaining the basics of all these things. So Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really insightful. So you said you're a working student. What exactly is that, if you want to shed some light?
Okay, so yeah, so basically here in Germany, um, there is since I have a visa, since I have a national visa for Germany for like for 1.5 year, 2 years, so I'm restricted to work 20 hours per week. So I cannot work more than that. I can just work 20 hours per week. So they have this thing called as working student, which is equivalent to internship, but sometimes internships over here are not paid. They're sometimes paid, not paid, but working student is paid. So uh, basically just think it as a intern. Okay,
Okay,
so
yeah.
yeah, so over here in Germany, so all the companies they have here, they give the opportunity to students. So they just post a lot of working student jobs in the LinkedIn or in their career web portal page. All these portals they publish, and then you just apply for it, give your CV, your purpose and all these things, all the documents, whatever they require, you just upload them, and then yeah, if they like your curriculum and vitae, and they will call you for interview. So you have to face the interview and then you work on it. So yeah, so I've been doing, it's been a year. I'm working over there, so I'm basically working in clinical workflow optimization and clinical prototype development, where I'm working in uh, imaging system only. I'm basically working in CT images, so reconstruction of the CT image and segmentation of tumor, uh, liver tumor, and generation of the ground truth. So I'm working on all these things. Yeah, so working students basically equivalent to internships that you have in India. But in India, I think India, we do not have these opportunities of working student.
Yeah, we
That's one.
don't.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, even if you will, like, I was also trying to look for internship in Siemens Healthineers, Philips, GE Healthcare, Medtronic, all these companies. But then the problem is that they will take you for internship only if you have any referral, or if somebody is working who can recommend you, who can refer you. In that way only you get internships. And even if you get internships in that, they will not give you full access to their system or anything. So you are just restricted, so you have to just look what other people are doing, and you just make a report on it. So uh, if you want to get hands-on experience, and if you want to uh, work in companies, I would suggest you to go for startup companies. I also did my 2 or 3 internships in startup companies only. So startup companies, the advantage is that already, I mean, it's a new company and they are basically working everything from scratch. Okay, so you will get to know hands-on experience, and you will get to do things what you want to do. You, whatever skills that you have learned, you will be able to put into that, which is not possible when you do a internship in a big company in India. Because in India you are just an intern for a month, and then they will just, they will not give you full access to that, is because of their company policy and privacy and stuff. So yeah, so I will recommend you guys to work, to do internships in startup companies, so that you can apply your skills and you can work from scratch. You can learn how the companies go growing, and how things work from low level to high level. So yeah.
yeah, I think we'll keep these points in our minds. It's very helpful. So like, is there anything else you want to explore in this field, and how are you planning to do it?
Okay, so now I'm in my third semester, and I've gained lot of lot of knowledge, and I did multiple courses. So I'm still learning. I'm still in the learning phase. I'm still learning about various methods to work on medical images, the AI part of the medical images, the deep learning part, which is very AI and deep learning is now very popular. So yeah, so I'm still learning, and then for my future, like I'm still confused whether to go for a PhD or whether to work in a company. So yeah, I'm still in confusion, still in dilemma of what to do exactly, so I'm still exploring.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. So since you've been a part of this industry for quite some time, so is there anything you want to change about this medical industry? If yes, like what would it be?
Um, I mean, there is nothing to change in this, but because this is one industry where, as I said before, that you will keep getting some of the other problems. So, for example, just to give you an example, like you have a MRI machine, okay? So you worked in a company and you built a MRI machine. So you give to your customers. So who are your customers? Your customers are your hospitals, your doctors. So you give it to them. So when they use it, and then they're going to give you some kind of feedback. So in that feedback, they will say, okay, the system is not optimized. I'm facing this kind of issue. The imaging is not good, and something. So you keep getting problems. So you keep getting new problem statements, and keep as an engineer, you have to keep working on it. You have to keep working on developing solutions, or how you can overcome that particular, how you can optimize the system and how you can work on it. So there's nothing to change, but then yeah, it's something that new problems comes, and then you have to find new solutions to it. So that's one thing we can do. I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
about the industry.
I think we've encompassed everything in this podcast. So, but is there anything you wish to share with the audience?
um um I think, yeah, so one thing could be like, yeah, so an advice to all of you would be like, no, I mean, uh, have a good fundamentals and basics of every subject that you are learning. Even if you do not know a lot of things, but at least the basics are very important, because that will help you, in your future studies, also in future companies also that you work, and also when you go, and also to have internships, basically to have internships in I mean in startup companies, because if you get to work in a bigger company, that's good, but then make sure that you get to do some work over there, not just make a report by looking at other people. So you get to do some kind of coding, or some kind of developing some electronic boards, or something you get to do. So that is very important. And then when you come to your second year or third year, just decide where you want to go, whether you want to go for the placements, or whether want to go for higher studies. So just decide well in advance, because that will help. And because I know a lot of my friends who were in like their final year, and then they were still confused where to go, and then like they couldn't decide well, and they ended up in some other thing which they did not like it. So yeah, it's very important that you plan well ahead, and start preparing for it. So I mean, you don't have to be that much serious, but then yeah, uh, you can. And also, one more advice could be like, um do your own research. Google is very powerful, internet is very powerful, you get all kind of information. So try searching like different things, like what kind of opportunities are available, or um what is the opportunities outside, or everything. Like just do your own research, so you will feel really satisfied, like, okay, well, I know a lot of things, because I did my own research, I'm satisfied with it. So those are some things which I would like to
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah, I think it's imperative to be mindful of these things and to take into account as we figure things out, because most of us are second year students. And
Yeah.
personally, I think it's very helpful. So
So
I guess,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
you people are in health informatics, or
yeah.
is it the general biomedical engineering? What domain are you guys into?
No, it's basically computer science engineering with specialization in health informatics. So it's like different from bioengineering.
Okay, yeah. So it's like more of my field into masters, medical
Yeah,
imaging.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So for that, I would like to tell you that so your so most so I mean, when you come to your third year or something, you will have certain courses related to deep learning, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So if you have these type of courses, so make sure that you understand the elements and fundamentals of statistics really well, because machine learning, deep learning is all about that. It's not about
Okay,
just coding, because what I have observed is that in India, people usually, just focus on the maybe coding part, just get the codes and stuff. So that's how it doesn't work. There is a lot of fundamentals behind it. So make sure that you understand the statistics and the stats. It's basically statistics. So you understand the statistics subject really well, mean, mode, variance, even though it seems to be very simple. But yeah, just know those things really well, because that is only going to help you um, in your future. Because health informatics means that you have data and how you're going to process them. So to process
yeah,
that data, you know the mean and variance, so standard deviation and all those stuffs. You will be knowing it in the form of mathematics, but what exactly the mean of the data is giving you information, so that you should be knowing. So yeah, so my recommendation would be that understand statistics really well, even though it seems easy, but still understand it really well.
yeah, definitely. I'll keep in mind, I think. So those were all the questions. Thank you so much for answering all the questions and doubts with your at par knowledge, I'd say. We strongly hope that the listeners found it interesting and intriguing and took something away from this conversation. Personally, I think I'm plump with knowledge and I'm very grateful for that. So, lastly, again, thank you so much for sparing your precious time for this podcast. And with that, we come to an end of this episode.